I have probably recorded this video about 4 times and have worn the same shirt every single time thinking it's going to be this one, just so it could match the thumbnail picture I took in the first video. Hello everyone, welcome back to Serendipia. My name is Viridiana for those of you who are new here, and I like to make lifestyle videos based on experiences that I've gone through throughout my high school, college, and currently adult life. So if you're interested in those kind of videos, go ahead and click that subscribe button and let's get started. So today, if you read the title, which I'm hoping you did, I will be talking about menstrual cups. Because this topic can be a little bit intimate and some people are not comfortable with the female reproductive system, maybe this might not be the video for you if you feel like you're not going to benefit from it, or if you feel uncomfortable talking about menstrual cycles and blood and just anything related to period. Maybe this is not the video for you. I would suggest clicking out of this video and maybe watching something else, another video of mine if you would like. So fair warning, we will get a little bit intimate with the video. I will not be showing anything explicit. It is not that kind of video. With that said, for those of you who are staying in the video, thank you so much for staying. As you read on the title, I used a menstrual cup for a whole year. And I wanted to share my experiences of using the menstrual cup for the full year, giving you some tips and advice and stuff that I just learned along the way that I feel would benefit other people as well. If you're interested in that, please go ahead and stay tuned. So today we will be talking about what a menstrual cup is and why I started using one, the benefits of using a menstrual cup, how to choose your cup, how to use a menstrual cup, concerns and questions that people normally have, and tips from a veteran. So before I start off, I do want to say that I will be using the word people instead of any female identifying words, just because I know that there are people out there who do get menstrual cycles that may not identify as female. So just to keep it as non-binary as possible, I would just be using the word people instead of girl, female, woman, etc, etc. But yeah, anyway, let's get started with the first topic. What is a menstrual cup and why did I start using one? A menstrual cup is a small funnel-shaped cone, usually made out of rubber and or silicone. It is inserted into your vagina with the purpose of collecting any period fluids. The average menstrual cup can hold about 1 ounce of liquid fluids. However, there are menstrual cups that can hold more and some that could hold less. Menstrual cups are commonly known to be eco-friendly and economically friendly because they are reusable. There are disposable menstrual cups, but I will not be talking about that too much because I don't really know about disposable menstrual cups. So your typical reusable menstrual cup can last from 6 months up to 10 years with proper care and depending on the brand. This is my menstrual cup. It is the Salt cup in a normal size, color pink, and it came in this little baggie to contain it for when I'm not using it. I wanted to quickly say I am not sponsored by this brand. This is just the one I ended up choosing for myself. Now, not all of these cups are the same. Not all of them look like this. There are cups of different colors, different sizes, different firmness, and even shape. We will go over later on how to choose your menstrual cup. The reason why I started using menstrual cups is because I felt like I was spending way too much money on feminine products, and I also wanted to reduce the amount of waste I was producing. What I ended up looking was I went online trying to look for reusable options, reusable feminine products that I can invest in so I can minimize the amount of feminine products I was purchasing a month. Typically, I would go through about a box of tampons a month because I do have a pretty heavy flow, and that would cost me between $6 to $12 a month depending on how big the box was. I definitely wanted to not have to spend that much money. Like, it felt like I was paying for a subscription for my period basically at this point. While researching the menstrual cup, I did find other alternative options. So if you're not interested in the menstrual cup, there's also options like reusable pads, period panties, the menstrual disc, I believe it's what it's called. So there are other options out there. However, for me, I felt most comfortable with the menstrual cup to start off because I felt it would be easier to clean as well. And then prior to using menstrual cups, like I mentioned, I use tampons. So I have used penetrative feminine products in the past as well. The benefits of using a menstrual cup. Like I mentioned previously, menstrual cups are known to be more economically friendly. My cup, if I take good care of it, it's supposed to last me up to 10 years. I paid $30 for this cup. I know $30 might be a little bit pricey, especially for feminine products, but this is something that is reusable. The way I like to think about it is that it's an investment. Like I said, I spend about $6 to $12 a month for a box of tampon, depending on the size of the box. So that means on average a year I was spending about $72 to $144 a year. When just buying the menstrual cup, I spent $30. Another benefit of the menstrual cup is that it's known to be safer than tampons. Usually tampons are associated with a rare bacterial infection that causes toxic shock syndrome. Menstrual cups reduce that risk of toxic shock syndrome. The reason for it is because rather than absorbing your period fluids like tampons do, the menstrual cup is collecting it. Lastly, another really big perk that I learned about is that you can use your menstrual cup if you have an intrauterine device, an IUD, which is a form of birth control. Before, there was this myth that you weren't allowed to use menstrual cups because it moved your IUD. However, that has been debunked. But if you are still nervous about having an IUD and using a menstrual cup, maybe actually contacting a doctor would be the best option for you. Now, those were just a few benefits. There's a bunch more benefits that you later on discover while using a menstrual cup. I just picked these because I felt like they were more relevant and relatable. How to choose your cup. So I will be linking a channel down below in the description with a bunch of different resources and quizzes, but I highly recommend going and visiting this channel after this video. I feel like this channel, put a cup in it, really helped me understand menstrual cups so much more, and they just had a lot of different resources that helped me choose my menstrual cup. So definitely look at the description down below for more information. So one of the things you should definitely consider before choosing your cup is your age. Depending on your age, if you are younger, you may have not be fully developed yet. So having an average size cup might be too big, especially if you've never used maybe a tampon before or something like that. Getting a smaller option would be a better option for you. So definitely consider your age when choosing your cup. Along with your age, you need to consider the size of your cervix. Like I said, check out the description down below for a better way to understand your cervix and the size of your cervix and what size you should get. But what I did while I was in the shower during my period, I inserted my index finger as far in as I could go until I felt the tip of my cervix. After that, I just noted how far my finger was in, then I measured it with the measuring tape to see how deep my cervix was. Now, it is important to measure your cervix while you're on your period because throughout your cycle, your cervix moves. So when you are not on your period, your cervix is higher, and when you are on your period, your cervix is slower. So if you are measuring your cervix, just make sure that it is while you're on your period to get more of an accurate measurement. Another thing to consider before choosing your cup is your flow. Like I mentioned, I have a pretty heavy flow, so I knew that a small cup might not be the best option for me. Along with considering your flow, consider the cup capacity. The salt cup that I use is supposed to hold up to 4 tampons and can be used up to 12 hours. Some cups may hold less and may have to be changed more frequently, and some cups may hold a little bit more. So definitely considering the cup capacity alongside with your flow will help you reduce the amount of times that you have to change your cup. Another thing to consider when choosing your cup is the firmness of your cup. If you see this cup, you're able to squish it around. However, it is a little bit firm, but there are softer options for those people who may need a softer cup. Now, the reason you need to consider the firmness of your cup is because you also need to consider your pelvic floor muscles. If you have stronger pelvic floor muscles, a firm cup like mine might be better. If your cup is soft and you have strong pelvic floor muscles, you have a greater possibility of dislodging your cup while it's inserted, and that can cause a leak. Lastly, another thing you should definitely be considering is if you have ever given vaginal birth. The reason I say this is because you pushed a human being out of your vagina. So probably having a soft, small cup might not be your best option, but it really depends on your own body. Sometimes even if you've given vaginal birth, you might still need a soft cup. So definitely, like I said, consider all these things. Take some quizzes, look at the resources that I've linked down below before choosing your cup. That way you can choose a cup that is best suited for you and your own body. How to use a menstrual cup. So the first step in how to use a menstrual cup is disinfecting your cup. You should be getting instructions on how to disinfect your cup in the packaging of the cup you get. What I do and what was instructed for me was, for the first time use, to boil my cup in water for 5 minutes. Now it is crucial to consider how long you leave your cup inside boiling water, because it is made out of rubber and or silicone, and it can melt, it can maybe lose its firmness, or it can lose its shape. So definitely don't keep it in longer for what it is advised to. So your next step, once your cup is disinfected, make sure you wash your hands thoroughly. You will be inserting some fingers inside your vagina, so make sure your hands are washed thoroughly. Next, you can either do this in the shower or over the toilet, whatever feels the most comfortable to you. For me, I prefer to do it sitting down over the toilet, so choose where you're most comfortable. Once in position, ready to go with your legs open, you will be parting your labia. You can use 2 fingers to help part it. Now, this is going to be my makeshift vagina, but once your labia is parted, you want to fold your cup. There are multiple ways to fold it. There is the C method, where you just push it down and make it into a C or a U. There is also the taco method, which is my favorite, where you press down the edge of the cup to create a smaller opening like this. There are also a bunch of different methods, but your goal is to make it smaller so it can fit easier through your vagina. Now this next step is important. You need to be lubricated enough so it's not painful when you insert your cup. Naturally, you will be lubricated with your period fluids, but if you're not lubricated enough, you can always run your cup under warm water, or you can use a water-based lubricant. So once you fold the cup, all you're gonna do is insert it. Basically, what you wanna do is you insert the cup and you wanna insert it at an angle. If you insert it straight like this, you're going to hit a wall. So make sure you insert it at an angle, and then you'll see once you start inserting it, it slowly starts to unfold. However, if you see it's still a little bit folded, what you want to do is you grab the end of your cup over here and you can twist it so it can completely unfold. Another thing you can do to completely unfold it is you can insert a finger and then just feel around the cup to make sure everything's unfolded. It is very important for your cup to be completely unfolded so you do not leak. Also, unfolding your cup completely will create an airtight seal. If you see, the cup has little holes around the edge. This one has 4 little holes. That creates an airtight seal. So you want to make sure that the cup is completely unfolded so that seal can be activated. Sometimes you feel a little pop. I'm not gonna lie, that little pop does feel a little bit funny at first, sometimes a little uncomfortable, but you may not always feel this pop. So like I mentioned, if you're not sure if your cup is completely unfolded, just inserting a finger and feeling the cup around, make sure there's no dents. That way you know your cup is completely unfolded. Once you've successfully inserted your cup, you should not be able to feel it. If you feel it, it might be too low, so take it out and try again. Depending on your cup and your flow, you can sometimes leave your cup in there up to 12 hours. Usually I insert my cup in the mornings when I wake up around 6 in the morning, and then again later on in the evenings at around 6 p.m. when I go shower. Honestly, that's the best part for me when using a menstrual cup, is that you really don't have to worry about having to change it so often, especially if you get one that lasts up to 12 hours. It is a really, really great benefit. Now to remove your cup, again, make sure you wash your hands thoroughly before starting. Then go ahead and position yourself in the shower or over the toilet. Now, before I tell you how to remove it, I just want to quickly mention, like I said, not all cups are the same. Some cups don't have this stem. Now, what I like to do once I'm in position and my hands are washed, I like to tug on the stem a little, pull the edge of the cup a little closer to the entrance of my vagina. The reason I mention this is because, especially at night when I'm sleeping, my cup tends to move a little bit forward for some reason. I'm not sure why. If you know why, maybe put it down in the comments below. That would be really interesting to know. But for that reason, sometimes I need to pull it closer to my vagina entrance. That way I can grip the bottom of the cup much easier. It is very, very, very important not to pull it all the way out. If you pull it all the way out with just a stem, you are going to hurt yourself. And it hurts really bad because there is an airtight seal there, remember? So if you pull the cup without breaking the seal, all you're doing is pulling your vagina inside out basically. So it really does hurt if you just pull it like that. So instead, what you want to do is, like I said, shimmy it a little side to side. Try to get the bottom of the cup as close to the entrance as you can so you have a better grip. Once you feel like you're able to grip it with 2 fingers, you just pinch the bottom and it should fold, which will break the seal. All you do is just slowly pull it out and then it's out. You pour out the contents. It's that simple. To clean your cup, you should have gotten instructions on how to clean your cup. But what you could use to clean your cup is mild soap. What I used to use was a mild unscented soap. I made sure I was not using any kind of scents because I did not want to mess with my pH balance. So I used the same mild unscented soap that I used to use for cleaning my tattoo to clean my cup. Eventually, I invested in this salt cup wash. It is the same brand as the cup, and I have been using this for about maybe 7-8 months. Now, again, I'm not sponsored by Salt. I just happened to pick up the Salt cup wash since I knew it was the same brand and it was meant to clean your menstrual cup. If you are going to use this cup wash, make sure you look at the ingredients to make sure you're not allergic to anything. Another thing you need to know when washing your cup is make sure there's no residue left in the little holes. Now, sometimes in those little holes, a little bit of that period residue will be left on there. You have to make sure it's completely cleaned out because if it ends up staying in the hole, there's a possibility that the seal might not activate. So make sure it's completely cleaned. And I usually just clean my cup this way every time I take it out and insert it again. On the very last day, I will clean it with the soap and then I will boil it to completely disinfect it. Now moving on to the next portion of this video, concerns and questions. So for this part of this video, I went on YouTube and I went on Reddit and I looked at different questions that people had when it came to menstrual cups and tried to gather the most common questions. The first and very most common question that people normally have is, will the cup get lost? Yes. No, I'm just kidding. The cup will not get lost. There is this really common misconception that your vagina is just this endless void of darkness, I guess. And people are very scared to insert a menstrual cup and having it get lost in there. So I'm here to tell you, no, your vagina is not an endless void. Your vagina has walls. There is an end to it. So it will not magically appear in your throat the next morning. However, I do want to mention that the second night I slept with my menstrual cup moved up a little, like I mentioned. The next morning when I woke up, I could not find it. I'm not gonna lie, I panicked and I freaked and I knew there's no possible way my cup is in my throat, but there is that fear. Let me mention quickly, the reason why I couldn't find my cup is because I was completely clenching my pelvic muscles because of how tense and freaked out I was that I could not find the stem where I placed it last night. What I want to advise in these situations is to make sure you're completely relaxed, because if you are clenching your muscles, what you're doing is you're squeezing it, and of course you're not going to be able to get through and pull it out. Release your pelvic muscles, relax, so you're able to move in much easier. Now, what ended up happening that night was that yes, my cup moved a little bit up. It didn't leak or anything, it just moved up, probably because I clenched my muscles that night, I'm not sure. But it did move a little up, and when it moved up, the stem also folded. Like I said, just relax your muscles and then feel around your vagina. You're going to get very intimate with your vagina. You're going to really understand it much better using a menstrual cup. Just feel around until you feel the cup. You'll be able to find it. It's there. It's not going anywhere. If you really are freaking out and you can't get it out and you've tried and you've tried and you tried, go to the clinic and see if someone can help you. I'm pretty sure they've had cases like this before. But no, your cup will not get lost in your vagina. Don't worry. Another really common question and concern that people had was, does it hurt? So one of the most common ways to get hurt with your cup is when you're removing it. Make sure you break that seal before you remove it, because if you don't break it, you are gonna hurt yourself. It is going to hurt. I am telling you this out of experience. Another time that your cup might hurt is also inserting it. This might be because you might not have enough lubrication. In that case, what you can do is, like I said, run your cup under warm water. If that's not enough, then I really suggest investing in a water-based lube. That way you can insert it much easier. Lubrication will really minimize the amount of friction that the cup causes when it's being inserted. So you want to make sure you're very lubricated so it doesn't hurt you. Another instance where your cup may hurt is when it's inserted incorrectly. So like I said, if your cup is halfway out, it's going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel it. So all you gotta do is take it out and insert it. You don't want to have half of the end of your cup outside of your entrance because you're going to feel it the whole time. You want to make sure it's in there correctly. It is a trial and error case here. You are going to need practice to eventually get better at it, but it should not hurt. If you've tried to insert correctly and it still hurts and you feel like it's incorrectly, there might be a possibility that the cup is of the wrong size or the wrong firmness for you. You might need a softer cup or you might need a smaller cup, or you might need both, a softer and smaller cup. So make sure that you're choosing the correct size of your cup. Another question I saw being asked a lot is, can you use the cup while being a virgin? Yes, you can. Just like with tampons, you should be able to insert a cup. You might just need a smaller cup. And then lastly, another very, very common question was, how do I know what size to get? Like I said, please look at the description down below. I have many resources down there, and there are many quizzes you can take to understand what cup would work best for you. Now, moving on to the next portion, tips from a veteran or a so-called veteran. So like I mentioned, I have been using my cup for about a year now, so I wanted to give y'all some tips and tricks I either heard or figured out along the way. My first tip that I have for y'all is practicing prior to your period. Once I figured out the size of my cup and everything, I made sure to order my cup for it to arrive about 1 week before my period. Using a cup does take a lot of trial and error, so the more practice you have, the easier it is to get to use. So once my cup arrived, I quickly disinfected it, and then what I did was, because I knew that I was not going to be lubricated enough, I ran it under warm water and I practiced inserting it and removing it. And with this trial and error is where I learned pulling it all the way out with just a stem was going to hurt, and it's also where I learned the different methods of folding it, as well as what worked easier for me, if to do it in the shower or over the toilet. So definitely practicing before your period can really help minimize the amount of errors you do while on your period. So something I do want to add really quick is, how I mentioned, your cervix does move throughout your cycle. So do keep in mind that your cervix is not going to be in the correct place when you are practicing. Once your cervix is down where it's supposed to be when you're on your period, you'll see that it feels even better and it's much easier to put in as well. Another tip I have is in regards to staining your cup. Now I want to remind everyone that it is completely natural to have a period. It is natural to leak at times. It is natural to stain yourself. It is natural to stain your cup. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Now, with that said, I do know that there's still people who would like to keep their things as clean as possible. So this is in regards to cleaning your cup. If you see, my cup doesn't really have any stains. In fact, it almost looks like I've never used it before. That's because what I do is, when I rinse it the first time, I make sure to use cold water. I did read online that using warm water can cause stains. So I was very cautious to use cold water at first when I first started rinsing it, and then once I insert it, to just run it under warm water so the cold won't shock me as much. But again, that is preference. If you don't mind a few stains, that's fine. And if you don't want to go through all that struggle but still don't want a cup that looks like it's been stained, you can also always use a darker color cup. That's why I also chose pink, because I feel like it masks the stains much better. But there are also cups that are black, there are cups that are like a dark blue or something like that. So there are different options for you out there. Another tip that I have for you all is, if you are going out for the night and will need to change your cup later on in the night, I suggest changing it before you leave. Now remember that your cup can last up to 12 hours inside you, so changing it before you leave can help you not have to worry while you're out for the night. That last video I released for my weekend vlog, I went out for the night, and during that night I was on my period actually. So what I ended up doing was I just changed it before I left because I knew I was going to have to change it later that night, and then I changed it again once I got home, so I didn't have to wake up super early just to change my cup. Definitely I recommend changing your cup before you go out at night, that way you don't have to change it in public, and then maybe changing it back when you get home if you don't want to wake up at like 4 in the morning for no reason just to change your cup. Now this next tip is for people who are out the whole day. If you're going to be out all day and you won't be at home to change your cup, what I recommend is carrying some water. That way you can rinse the cup in a public restroom. So what I suggest is maybe getting some travel size shampoo bottles, and in one of them filling it up with diluted soap, and then the other one with just some water. That way you can carry it in your purse, and once you need to change it, you can always go to a public restroom or to your nearest restroom and just wash it and rinse it in the bathroom. Use a panty liner and or towel for your first night. During the first few times that you are trying out your cup, like I said, it is a trial and error kind of case, so there might be times where you may not have your cup in correctly. There might be times where maybe the seal might not be activated and you might end up leaking a little. So if you want to avoid any stains on your bed at night, what I suggest is maybe using a panty liner. If you're still a little bit nervous about it going through your panty liner, then I suggest laying a towel on your bed before you go to sleep. That way you can avoid staining your mattress. Like I mentioned, it is completely normal to stain yourself. It happens to everyone. It is okay. I hate that people make a really big deal out of it, but I do understand that sometimes people don't want stained mattresses. So if you do want to avoid staining your mattress, putting a towel would be best. What I did for my first few nights is I did tell my boyfriend, hey, I'm using my menstrual cup for the first time. I'm going to be laying a towel. And you know what? He didn't care. He usually doesn't care about these things, but I did want to let him know, just give him a heads up. And I did. I used a towel and I put a panty liner, and I ended up not staining myself. Like I mentioned, the only time I've ever actually stained myself was when I had a very, very heavy flow, and I ended up having to change it sooner than I expected to. Now this next tip is for people that are like me. Use a panty liner for your first and or last days when you're just spotting. Sometimes you don't want to use your menstrual cup. Just like with tampons, you feel like it's a waste when it's just spotting. What I ended up doing is I still do purchase panty liners just to catch that last bit when I'm finishing my period, or that spotting I get usually at the beginning of my period before my actual period starts. Now for me, like I said, I do want to reduce the amount of waste and money I'm spending on feminine products, because oh my god, I am tired of feminine products being profited on something that's completely out of our control. But that's another story for another day. And I do want to invest in period panties for days where I am just spotting. But if you don't want to use period panties, you can always use panty liners. So lastly, this is something that when it first happened to me, I could not find it anywhere, and just the vocabulary that was being used, I was very confused about it, and I don't know, I just found it very difficult, and a lot of people don't seem to talk about it. But it's about pooping while you have your menstrual cup on. You can use the restroom, you can poop if you have your menstrual cup on, but I will tell you this now, that your bowel movements may push your cup out. And I'm telling you this because I remember the first time that ever happened to me. I needed to use the restroom, and I was pushing, and next thing you know, I feel my cup kind of slowly slide out and feeling it closer and closer to the entrance. So I stopped. I freaked out and I stopped. I ended up going online and looking it up, and I couldn't really find much about it. But like I said, your bowel movements can push out your cup. So what I suggest doing is using the restroom before inserting your cup. That way you don't have to worry about pushing your cup out accidentally and having it land with everything else. Now, I know this is not something that we can always control. I know sometimes you really need to use the restroom and you have your menstrual cup on. What I suggest doing is just taking it out. Honestly, you do not want to accidentally push out your cup while using the restroom and having it fall in the toilet. That's very unsanitary, and from what I've heard, you can't use it after. I'm not sure how true that is. I know I wouldn't want to use it after either. So if you want to avoid that, definitely just take the cup out and then, you know, do your own business. So I will leave you all with that very interesting fact. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you all learned something. If you have any tips, advice, or questions, please feel free to comment them down below. I'm always happy to answer any questions that I can. If not, I will always point you to different resources. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you can get notified of when I subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a beautiful day, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.